Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial we'll be looking at form basics and forms and label. So this is where we stopped in our last tutorial, how to create tables on our web page. And before we move on to the next topic for today, I'll be doing correction to the assignment that was given in the last lecture. So I told you guys to add some image here, like the hydrogen image, the helium, the lithium image. So for those of us that are unable to do it, I have downloaded some image on my laptop to show you how to do that. So without wasting much of our time, I will go to my laptop now. So I open the folder I'm working on. So we are currently working on HTML level 2. I'm going to copy those files, those images I downloaded, and paste them inside the HTML level 2. So here are the images I downloaded. I'm just going to copy them and drop them into the folder I'm working on. So I have the image, I named it 1.jpg, 2.jpg, 3.jpg till 5 because I only used 5 elements. So now I'll be adding those images one by one. The extension is JPEG file, so I'm just going to pull out this since I've known the name. So in this image tag, I'm going to call the source src, and I'll write the name. The first one is image.jpg, and I'll give it a width of 100, or let me give it a width of 50 to make it small, 50 pixel. Then the auth name will be hydrogen. Then I'll just copy this and paste it to the next part. So here also we are having image tag. So the second one here is 2 and image 2, and this is helium. So I'll move on to the next one and paste it. So here we have 3, and the name is beryllium. The next one is 4. Okay, the third one here is lithium, and the fourth one is beryllium, while the fifth one I use as example is boron. So that's the fifth image. So I'm going to give it out name of boron. So once I save this and go to my web page and I refresh, they automatically shows there. So we have the hydrogen image, we have the hydrogen and the helium, the lithium image, and the beryllium and the boron. So we all have the 4 images. So you can choose to complete the table by writing the first 20 elements, or you can use another concept entirely. So in today's tutorial we'll be moving on to how to create forms and how to use it. So I'm going to create a new folder for that, and I will name it form.html. So let me create a new file. I'll name it form.html. So once I save and to open up the editor, so now I'm going to write the basic skeleton. So this is my basic skeleton. Now I named the title as working on form. So inside this body, if you recall in our last tutorial when we are working on table, before we can work on table, you have to let HTML know that okay, we want to work on table by calling the table tag. So it applies to this working on form also. Before we can work on form on HTML, we have to let HTML know that we want to work on form by calling the tag form. So we are going to write form. So inside this form we are going to write all other tags, subtags that we are going to use in creating the forms on HTML. So before that, I'm just going to create an header here. I'll use H2 and I'll say, let me use H1. I'll say working on forms and label. So once I save this and refresh, let me copy the path. So I'll just go to my web browser and paste it there. So now we have working on forms and label, because this is just an heading. So now to create forms, let me go back to the VS Code. So to create forms, we use what we call the input tag. So by calling the input tag, HTML knows that we want to create a form and is going to redesign it for us. So this input tag is a self-closing tag. It's not like the other tags that have closing tag like this, like input like this. It's a self-closing tag, so it doesn't need this. Okay, so inside this input tag, let's say we want to tell the user to input a name. We are going to call the type, and what we are trying to do now is to put in a name, and that is a text. So once we write this text, HTML will know that we want to type in a name or something that contains word. So once I save this and refresh, it's going to come out. So we have this box, this rectangular box here, that we can type anything. Let's say I want to type my name now. So just for example. So there is one more thing again to do to identify that we want to actually write a name. So after this type, we are going to write value. So we give it a value to know what the user is actually going to put inside the form. So we write first name, or we say full name. So once I save and refresh, it's going to show here as full name. So the user that wants to enter his details, we know that okay, I'm going to write my name here, my full name here. So I can just clear this and write my full name. So once I do that, I'll do the rest. So let me go back to the code. There are other inputs that we can use. So let me copy this to make the work much faster. Once I copy this, go to the next line and paste. So I can also tell the user to input email. So, and I'll write the value here as email, or let me say enter email address, or let me just say enter email, enter your email. Okay, so once the user see this, and the reason why I'm using this email tag, I'm going to let you know, this email attribute, I'm going to let you know soon. Let me create another one. Control V. Let me copy this. Control C. Control V. So let's say we are only asked to write our name and email and we want to submit, we are just going to call the submit button here. So once this submit button is pressed, all the data we enter are going to be sent to the server or the network or the website that is linked to it. So I will just write submit here, or let me say register. Once I save and go to the page, once I refresh, you can see that they say enter your full name here. We have full name and we have enter your email and we have this register button. If I input any data here, let me say I write my name and I move to the next tab and I enter my email. The reason why I use that email now, you see it. Once I say Yusuf and I just press register, it's going to pop up that please include @ in your email address. So you will know that okay, this is majorly specified for writing email, so I have to put at gmail.com before the register button will actually work. So once I press this, they are going to refresh and be sent. Assuming that I have linked any website or server to it, they are going to be sent to the server or the website. But for now, we have not done that. So I just we are learning the basics. So let me go back to the VS Code. We can add more things like phone number. So let me paste another one. So I can say number, and I will say enter your number, enter your phone number, or I'll just say contact. So I'm going to add another one again, and this one will be your password. So I'll just say enter your password, or let me say create a password. So once I save and refresh, they are going to be listed out here. So the reason why I use number here for the third line is because once the user wants to enter anything that is other than number, it's not going to work. Like now I want to press letter, it's not working. I can only use number there. I can only enter number because we are trying to write a phone number. So letters won't work on it. So that is why it is specified for phone number. So and here in this password, this is the default way of showing user that okay, this is a field for password, for you to enter your password. So I can just create a password here, and once I press register, it's going to be sent and the password is going to be registered. So you can see that they are all in a line. They are all in a line instead of being on separate line. So for us to do that, we're going to add the break tag. We already know about the break tag, so I'm just going to add the break tag here. That's the BR. I'm going to copy it and paste it to the next line. Paste it here also, and I'll also paste it here, and I'll paste it here. So once I save and refresh, they will be arranged. So you can see that we have full name, enter your email, phone number, and we have the password. And for us to use label, instead of using value, you can also use label to let the user know that you are trying to get this information from you, that you enter this particular information into the next system. So we call the label tag, and I close it. So the first thing we are working on is full name, so I'll write full name. So once I save and refresh, we are going to see what it's going to do now. So you can see that we have full name here. Even though we clear this value out, you are still going to know that okay, we are working on full name. Maybe after clearing it out, your attention is called to another thing and you have to come back. Instead of you to forget what you are doing, you know that okay, I'm working on full name. So that is why we have label to show us what you are the data we are trying to input. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I'll just add a attribute here. Okay, so this label is for full name, so I'll just write full name here, and I will give it an ID to show that we are working with this input. I'll give this input an ID of full name also. Full name. So we know that this label is for this input. That is why we have this ID and this label for full name. So once I refresh, it's still going to give us the same thing. Still have the same thing here. And you notice something, we have to start clearing this full name before we can actually write our own name. To avoid that or to replace that, we can use placeholder instead of this value. So let me just clear this out and use placeholder. So we'll see the reason why I'm using this placeholder now. So I'll just write I'll write the full name back. Once I save and go to the web page and refresh, you can see that this full name is not editable and it's kind of light, like a gray color. And once you start entering your information, it's going to clear out. Like now, we have full name and I want to enter my name. Once I enter my name, that placeholder value will be cleared out and you start to see your own information that you are inputting. So I think that is much better. That placeholder is much better for us to use. So let me go back to the code we are working on, and I will use placeholder instead of value. Let me copy this and paste. Enter your email. So here also I'm going to paste it there, and I'll say contact phone number. Then the next one, create a password. And the last one, register. You can also use send. You can use send there as the value. So once I save this and go to the web page and refresh, you can see that they are all taking the forms of placeholder. So we don't need to start clearing out the values before we start inputting our own data. So that is how to use placeholder. Now back to the label we are using before. Okay, I think I should leave this as a value. Doesn't mean. So let me just Ctrl Z. So I'll save and go back. Let me leave it as value. So we still have register here, and I can decide to change it to send. Let me use send. So once I go to the web page and refresh, we have send button here. So I'm going to create the label for the rest. Here we have email, so I'm going to create label for that also. Let me copy this to make the work much faster. Ctrl C, and I'll paste it here. Ctrl V. So this label here is actually working for email, so I'm just going to write an email here. That's a label for email, and I'll give it an ID of email to show that we are working with the label above it. So here also give it a label, and here is for number. I'm just going to write for number, and I'll also give it ID, code number. So the next one is password. So I'm just going to change this to password, and I'll also give the input password. I'll give it an ID of password. So once we get to CSS, we'll know how to use all this ID and for label, most especially how to use ID and class. So the reason why we are using this for and ID is to show that this input is actually working for this label, or this label is working for this input. So this label here is also for this input, and I think the spelling of this label is not correct, so I'm just going to write L to make it complete. So we have L here. So once I save this and refresh, let me go to the web page. They are all going to take shape. So let me change these names here to their actual value. So this one is for email. Then after that we have enter your phone number. We have phone number, or let me just simply say contact. So let me say contact. So the next one after contact is password. So once I save this and refresh, they are going to be more ordered. So we have full name, we have email, we have contact, and we have password. So we can also give it more space, like this full name. Now we can give it a little bit more space by adding another break to it. Let me use another break tag. So here also I will add a break tag here, and here also I will also add a break tag here to give it more space. And lastly here I'll add a break tag, one more break tag to it. So once I save this and refresh, so we have enough space now, so we can start inputting our data, email, phone number, and password. So once we are done, we just press send, and it automatically send your data to whatever server or network or website that is linked to it. Okay, so having said that, there's one more thing I would like you guys to understand in using this form tag. After putting all your information, the way all your information is being sent to whatever server or website that's connected to it is like this. Inside this form tag here, we are going to use an attribute called action. So this action, we are going to link the server or link the website that we want to send your data to. We are going to link it to it. So let's say I want to send your data to Facebook now. Just write facebook.com. So once you input all your data and you press send, it's going to take you to facebook.com. So let me save this now. Let me save this and do what I'm trying to say. So let me just write short description at gmail.com. Let me just write in a random phone number and a password, a random password. So once I click send, it's going to take me to Facebook, but for now I'm not connected to the internet, so it can't take me there. But for more explanatory purpose, I'm going to just create I'll link it to one of the website that I've created. So let me go back to the VS Code now. I think one of the things we have created last time, okay, we work on table on our last section. So I'll just link it to table.html. So I'll link it to table.html. Let me collapse this. So inside this form, instead of linking it to Facebook, I'll write table.html. So once we fill in on the informations, I will press send. It's going to take you to this web page showing that you have successfully registered to that website. So let me save this and go back to our website. So let me create another password here. So once I press send here, it's going to take me there. Okay, I haven't saved it yet. Ctrl S. Okay, so I'll start entering my name again. I'll enter a random email address at gmail.com or yahoo.com, a random number, and I'll put a random password. So once I press send, it's going to take us to our previous tutorial. So you can see that showing that we have successfully registered, assuming that it is a website, a full website. It's going to give you access to go into the website since you have registered with them, and your data will be sent to the server of the website. So this is how to create forms, how to work with forms on HTML. So when we get to CSS, I'm going to explain how you can design the form and make it look more professional when we go to CSS. So for now, we have to know the basics before moving on to the advanced level. So guys, this will be all for today. Let us make sure that we practice all what we have learned, and after that we screenshot what we have done and submit it to the group as usual. So bye bye.